Okie dokie. Let's see console.count in action. So let's go, this is the most simple case, console.count. And this is the fun thing with JavaScript. You can just start typing and go for it. You won't break anything. Console.count. Console.count. How many times do you think it's going to show? Of course, 3. So let's click enter and let's see. Default text, because we haven't provided any parameters, and it's showed you how many times it's been called, 3 times. What's a more practical example? Well, let's say you got some function call, okay, and this is a for loop, so don't worry yet, we're going to get into these later as well. Let's just say, I don't know, we're going to call this thing 5 times, and then we call console.count, and we can pass it a parameter. You can write anything in here, and let's say I have been called. If I push enter now, what do you think is going to happen? It's going to be called 5 times, and it uses the text that you've put in here to call it up. So that's console.count. Okay, what's another important console method you need to be aware of? And I almost forgot about this. It's console.dir. You've got console.log, but console.dir, and I know it's going to sound weird, is it prints the JavaScript representation of the object to the console. Console.log, on the other hand, prints the XML representation of that object. What do I mean? Well, you can see on the current screen, we've got Google open. If I console log the document, and remember what the document was? Well, that's right, the document's the page itself. So if I go console.log and I log the document, what's going to happen? Well, what's cool is it gives me the actual document. And you can see when I hover over it, this Chrome console highlights the area, the relevant area. I can open it up. I've got the heading, I've got the body. I can look at the whole HTML structure here. But say I don't want that. Say I want to know what methods and objects are available on this from a JavaScript point of view. Well, console log doesn't cut it. And that's where you type console.dir. And I can do the same thing. Let's look at that. Looks the same, but look what happens when I open it, how cool this is. You can see all the methods and properties available from a JavaScript point of view on all of this. You've got click events you can add to it, which we're going to get into later, key downs, all of that kind of stuff. So that's another important thing you need to be aware of with console, and that's a nice little tip that not many people know of. All right, what else is there? What else is there? Oh yes, there's table, which is quite cool. Console.table. Let's give you an example quickly. Console.table. Now, if I just execute table, nothing's going to happen because a table needs a list. If you think about a visual representation of a table, well, you need data. So in JavaScript, what we refer to as giving data is it's called an array. It's an array of data. And you enclose an array in square brackets. I'll show you what I mean. So console.table, open square bracket, and let's go 1, 2, 3, should we do one more? Let's do one more. 4, close square bracket, close the brackets, execute. And how cool is that? Literally shows you a table. You can even be more practical with it. Say we want to display an object. What I mean by that? Well, don't worry too much about the code. Just understand the concept of what we're trying to do here. So let's say we want a dog name. Dog name. Okay. The first name is Paw, and I don't know, the second name, surname is Patrol. So now we've got this dog name. What about if we want that displayed? Well, okay, first question is, you probably say, well, let's just console log it. Let's console log dog name. And that's cool. You can see it displays it as an object to us. But the other way is that table method. So let's go dog name. How cool is that? It lays it out for you with the name and the property. Name and the value, sorry. The name and the value. So that's console.table. Another one we can look at, let's just clear this console. Another one we can look at is console.group. And what happens is sometimes, I mean, you can already see how full the screen's getting. You get too many logs and you want to group a specific category of logs all together. so you don't have them all over the place. How do we do that? Well, that's from console.group. Let me show you an example. So say we want to group dogs. Think about the group as the group heading. So we want to call it dogs, and within there we want to console.log, I don't know, an Irish wolfhound. Okay. And we want to console.log a sausage dog. If I push return now, can you see how awesome that is? It's literally grouped them, and you can collapse it. So if I open it, I can see my Irish wolfhound sausage dog. And did you notice how when I clicked enter, it automatically expanded it? Well, we can stop that if we do what we did before, but you go group collapsed, and now I go, it literally collapses it by default. It doesn't open it by default. What about if I've got lists within lists? Well, the awesome thing is with groups, you can do that. You can make a list within a list. Let's see how that's done. Okay, so let's say we want a list of animals, and within the animals we've got cats and dogs. So we go console.group collapsed, and let's call the main group animals. Now we want dogs. So let's do dogs. Console.log, let's do, group. Let's have a heading called dogs. And then we want to do the same. We want a console.log Irish wolf hound. And we want a console.log a sausage dog. Now, let's say we want to end that group. Console.group end. And now we want cats. So let's go cats. And what's a cat? Siamese. And let's, oh no, where did it go? Oh, I don't know where it went, but it's back. And let's do one more. Console.log, what's another cat? Ragdoll. Ragdoll, I think that's one. Okay, and then we can go console group end. Now what's going to happen when I execute this? Check this. Hey, where'd it go? Group collapsed, animals, group dogs, log group end group. Why hasn't this worked? Now it's worked. Okay. Don't know what happened there, but there is your group of animals, which is at the very top level. If you open that up, you've got dogs and cats. So that's console.log. One more I want to show you is console.time. It's similar to the group method in that you need like an opening and a closing call in order for the browser to know when it starts and finishes. So it just helps you measure time. So say you've got a function and you want to optimize your website to go super quick. You want to know how long it takes for it to do a certain event. You can use console.time. Let me give you an example. Let's say console.time. It's a math timer, for example. No? And let's say we want a console.log some random number times another really big number. Okay. And we want to measure how long that took. So we go console.log time end, and here, bear in mind, just bear this in mind, your description has to match the start description, because you think you might have multiple timers going on. So you want to make sure that this heading matches that heading. And let's push return. Bob's your uncle. That is how long it took. That's the result. Sorry, this it's a massive number. But this here is the result of your timer call. That's how long it took. It took 0.34 milliseconds to complete. At this point, your head's probably exploding. And that's good, because what you've learned is that the console object is powerful. You've got group methods on it, you've got time methods on it, you've got assertions, you've got warnings, info. There's a lot you can do on just the console object, and not many people know that. So it's going to put you ahead. But for you and I mean, by far the most important is console log, and we're going to see that a lot. So let's continue with the course.